What's up, everybody? It's Critical. Go ahead and snuggle up in your bed. Get nice and tight and cozy in the covers. I'll hand you your favorite stuffed animal. Then I'll tell you another story of a very strange encounter I've had at a bar. This happened quite a while ago. I was still just a college-aged man, freshly 21 years old, basically just stopped sucking on my mother's teats, and I was at a bar with my friends and we were having a good old night out. And as you know from previous stories, I've never been a good flirt or anything of that nature. But tonight I had quite a few drinks in me and I was feeling good about myself, so I decided I was going to strike up a conversation with a good-looking girl, which I did flawlessly. That shit was textbook. Fucking Ryan Gosling would have been proud of it. The girl I was talking to was a little bit older than me and we were just having a nice little conversation, just talking about general shit, getting to know each other. My attempts at flirting probably fell flat. I don't think she was too enamored with my compliments. Oh, it's a great drink. You know how to order a good drink and just shit like that, you know, really awful compliments because I'm a horrible flirt. But anyway, we were just having a conversation. Everything was going well until I made a pivotal mistake. I asked her where she was from. This was a can of worms no one should have ever opened. This one simple question led to a cascade of some of the most incomprehensible verbal diarrhea I have ever been victim to. So I asked her where she was from, and she told me that that's not an easy question to answer since she's lived so many lives. It's hard to say which one she really came from, like the genesis of her being. This was very serious shit to her. She was getting very personal with me, so I returned the favor and I was asking her questions. Well, which was your favorite life you lived? And she said that's not an easy one either. She said she really enjoyed when she was a 45-year-old Army lieutenant. And to that I asked her, what branch, how long were you in the service for, what happened? She gave me the answers. Apparently she had died in like a flak explosion or like something on an aircraft carrier. I can't quite remember the details surrounding that one. I'll have to check the fucking history books. She was telling me one about how she used to be a barbarian back during the, Norse times or during the Ottoman Empire or something in that time period. Apparently this girl is just like in the fucking Animus or something. She's like the next Assassin's Creed character. It was really just interesting. Apparently she had visions of her past lives and she also time traveled to go see them firsthand and take notes on them, but of course she didn't have the notes at the bar. But anyway, we just kept having this conversation about her past lives, and then she had a vision while we were talking, and this shit scared the fuck out of me. I thought she had just shut down, like her programming malfunctioned. Mid-sentence she just stopped talking and blankly stared at me. It was like That's So Raven having a vision, but of the past. And then she apologized for having this vision. She said she can't control her powers or something like that. And I said, I understand it's a very, very big burden to carry. It's quite a blessing and maybe even a curse. And yeah, we just kind of had this conversation. I don't remember all of her past lives or all the questions I asked her. But she did have some interesting ones from other planets, but I didn't really know much about those planets she was from, so I couldn't ask anything interesting there. So really, the whole thing was just a big old fucking clusterfuck that I wasn't expecting. Then I excused myself to go get a drink, which I desperately needed after listening to James Cameron's next movie plot lines. And what's incredible about this is one of the friends I was with went up to the same girl because I told him that he would enjoy her company. So he went up to her and started talking to her. And then at the end of the night, I asked him how it went. And he said that almost immediately she mentioned that she lived other lives and he just peaced out. And I respected him for that because he got to be spared the very long, detailed story about some incredible shit. But he also missed out on some amazing war stories. But yeah, I thought that was a story that was worth sharing. So, that's it. See ya. I've got a secret, and I'm not afraid to share it right now. Much like Bruce Wayne keeping his Batman identity a secret, I've got something that I've been keeping from you. And you're not going to believe me when I tell you this, but it is the truth. I used to be a virgin. Not only did I used to be a virgin, I used to be a turbo virgin who was extremely proud of the fact that he was a virgin. In my early college years, I used to brag about being a virgin to anyone that would listen. I was like those dudes that stand on corners with the sign saying the end is near, just talking about doomsday. I was that with virginity. And every day was virginity day for me. I made a video talking about this a little while back about how I used to brag about being a virgin. I really went hard on that being a core part of my identity in my early college years. When I did talk to girls, I would treat it like I was on Shark Tank and I was pitching my virginity to them like a business that they should invest in. It was very, sad and pathetic. But I figured I'd share a few more stories from this era of my life, this arc in the Charlie anime, because there's some real golden nuggets in there that I think maybe a few of you could learn from. Though I don't imagine too many of you watching this right now think virginity is cool or something worth bragging about all the time, unless of course you're trying to be a pastor or teaching abstinence at a high school or some shit as like a sex ed teacher. But anyway, I wanted to share a couple of these stories. So the first tale from the compendium of Charles White's virginity stories is actually one that I shared on a stream recently. It was my sophomore year of college, 2014. Five Nights at Freddy's is the hottest shit, just came out. We've never seen anything like that. Our assholes blown wide open by Five Nights at Freddy's. It was a dark and stormy night, and my roommate had a girl over. It wasn't anyone romantic, they weren't together, they weren't, anything at all. It was a friend of his from high school who came down to party at the university. I did not go to a party that night. I stayed in the dorm room watching cartoons. After the partying had ceased and everyone had their fun, my roommate went to bed, but she didn't. She sat on the couch and watched whatever cartoon I was watching at the time. I think I was watching Justice League or some shit, so she was wet. And she just started talking about how much fun she had at the party and eventually asked me why I didn't go with them. And I tried to play it cool. I said, I had better things to do. And if I had a cigar, I would have lit it in that moment right there and just blew a big fucking puff. I was really trying to be suave about it, but the reality is the reason I didn't go was because I wasn't invited. It was a very low-key party, and this was when I still wasn't super familiar with my roommates. They were probably afraid I'd crawl on top of one of the tables and start trying to lead like a virginity chant, like, raise your hands if you're a virgin. Oh, just me? Even better, something weird. So they didn't ask me to go, which is why I wasn't there. But anyway, of course, me being this virginity evangelist that wouldn't shut the fuck up about virginity, we talked more about some shit, I don't remember what, but of course, me being the mysterious anime loser virgin extraordinaire back then, I eventually steered our conversation into a talk of virginity. And I started telling her about, how great it is being a virgin and how, maybe I'll lose it soon if I'm really feeling like it, as if I had, a ton of options, like my fucking cell phone was full of applicants to take my virginity. And she said something that still rings in my ears sometimes when I'm trying to go to bed. After telling her all of this about my virginity and telling it with a real smile on my face, really fucking saying it with my chest like I am a virgin, she hit 19-year-old Charles with a giggle and a wow, that's so sad. And she thought I was kidding, so she started making jokes about it, and I insisted that no, I was being serious, and I was like, damn. On the inside I was like, damn, that was brutal, that shit hurt, but she's not wrong. The more I say it out loud, the more I realize how sad it is. And then she goes on to say, I'll suck your dick if you want. And I went into a full fucking meltdown mode. It was like something out of Tom and Jerry when like the stars are going around when they're like knocked out. I was having like a fucking meltdown. And I eventually just went into like full Redditor mode. I was like, oh gee, whoa. No, madame, I could never ask such a thing of you. Absolutely not. I would not have that. I'd like my virginity to stay. Thank you very much, you harpy, you succubus. So I stood my ground and declined the blowjob, which was a more than generous offer from her, might I add. She was just gonna take one for the team, a real champion. Like, what a great friend my roommate had. And honestly, I probably saved her life by declining that blowjob because I don't think she quite knew what she was dealing with and getting into. She was about to bite off more than she could chew. She was like Icarus flying way too close to the sun. If she did give me that blowjob, I would have blasted an unholy cum shot at an unreal velocity that probably would have pierced the back of her throat and gone out the other side. It would have looked like she got hit by a fucking sniper. My wiener had never even been accidentally touched by a human female. The closest thing my cock ever got to a girl touching it back during that time was when a girl accidentally hit me in the balls with her criminology book when we were standing up from the table in the classroom. So if she blew me, I would have busted a nut of biblical proportion, a dangerous nut. So really, I made a noble decision and saved her life by declining that. And I think that incident right there where she said it was so sad that she was just going to offer me a blowjob really put it in perspective how sad it really was. Because it was so sad that not only did she tell me to my face how sad it was, but she tried to offer like consolation, as if she was trying to console someone who was grieving. Pretty wild stuff. And I figured I'll share one more story because this one's just as embarrassing. Probably not as embarrassing though. It's probably worse. Before my sophomore year of college, my high school had a reunion party at one of the girls' houses. And this is when I had just started drinking, and I was getting after it. I was fucking hitting that alcohol real hard. And one thing that I talked about this in the previous bragging about virginity video, but one thing I used to do is I would get drunk and start bragging about my virginity in different accents. Well, I remember at this high school reunion party with all my old high school classmates, I reached that level of drunk where it was time that Irish Charlie come out and start talking about his virginity. So for the whole night that I can remember before total blackout, I was talking in an Irish accent about how great it is being a virgin and how everyone who had lost their virginity had just failed to reach enlightenment. I was the happiest one being a virgin, all in an Irish accent, of course. And then I do remember one of the girls kissed me and I pre-came down my leg. I don't know if it was like a pity kiss or something, or like pent up feelings from high school, though I doubt it because I was a real fucking weirdo in high school. But I remember one of the girls kissing me, and I pre-came down my leg. At least that's what I tell myself, that it was pre-cum. Honestly, it could have just been a full load that I blew down my leg. I really don't know. But I do know I wasn't invited to the follow-up high school reunion party the next year. So there's a very good chance that I might have just shit myself, honestly, down my leg. It could have been anything. It could have been any mystery fluid coming out of there. I couldn't tell you. But yeah. Just a couple more tales from this time where I thought bragging about being a virgin was cool. Again, the lesson to take away: bragging about virginity is a weird thing to do. So yeah, probably just avoid that. Don't do that. That's it. See ya. Anime is a word that inspires confusion, fear, and boners. On the surface, it's just another form of entertainment, but what it actually is a weapon. And like all weapons, there's the potential for misuse. This is the story of how I misused anime in my first year of college, and potentially led the entire student body to believe that I was some type of fucking lunatic who was one bad Naruto episode away from crashing his car into the side of the on-campus gym. It all started in high school. I was pretty reclusive, I didn't go out much, but I did watch a lot of anime, and it taught me two very important lessons. The first being, the power of friendship is the strongest force in the universe that not even God himself can compete with. Friendship probably led to the Big Bang creating our fucking universe. The second lesson being, the mysterious guy is always the coolest guy that big-titted girls want to fuck and smaller-titted girls want to fuck. And I really took that lesson to heart, and I super shouldn't have. Absolutely not. But I did. And what happened is, as I graduated high school, I realized that college was my chance to really reinvent myself and change what people think about me, my perception, because no one knows about me. In high school, everyone knew me because I went to a small school, so I couldn't exactly just kick down the door one day sporting a leather jacket and riding a Harley Davidson and have everyone think I was super cool all of a sudden. They'd probably just think I was possessed by the spirit of a 40-year-old father going through his midlife crisis. But in college, nobody knew me, so I could be anything I wanted to be. And man, I wanted to be the anime mysterious guy. And holy shit did it lead to a very embarrassing and lonely first year of my college. So my college anime opened up with an incredible season opener, just a beautiful introduction. On move-in day, the literal first time setting foot in college soil, being an adult, a full-grown, full-hairy, penised adult on a college campus. On move-in day, I had my dad helping me. And going to my dorm, moving in the elevator, there was a girl and her father who were moving in there on the same floor. And my dad was talking to her dad and her a little bit. I didn't say a word. I was too cool to say a word. My dad tried to throw me into the conversation. So he asked me a real softball question that even a toddler could fumble his way through. I don't remember exactly what he asked me, but it was something like, "Oh, are you excited to move into this dorm, Charlie?" And I'll never forget my response because I remember this verbatim. I said, "You know I can't talk about that, Dad." I don't know why I said that. I guess in my head I thought that she would think that was super fucking dope, like I was some type of super secret agent that can't talk about his opinions. But really it just came across like, wow, this is a guy that I should be afraid of. But at the time, it didn't register with me like that was a weird thing to say. I went through the rest of that day being really proud of that, like, damn, fucking nailed it in the elevator. College is gonna be great. I just expected, like, if we saw each other in the hallway, she'd just be overcome with ecstasy and just charge me like, "Charlie's son," and then give me a smooch on my smoochers. But in reality, as you can imagine, that never happened. And that was really just setting the tone for the rest of that entire year for me. I wanted to, and luckily Kaya talked me out of it, I wanted to put an Xbox disc of Psychonauts around a chain on my neck, so that way people would know that I like Psychonauts. It's not exactly mysterious because I'm kind of beating you on the urethra with, I like this, I'm clearly wearing it. But I was like, this is so different. This is totally what an anime guy would do, like the mysterious guy. Another thing that I wanted to do, and Kaya again talked me out of it, he really saved me from having an even more catastrophic freshman year of college, is I wanted to carry around a deck of cards and do magic tricks at house parties or just around campus to really make people be like, damn, that was cool. I need that guy's number. Who was that guy? That guy's super cool. Let's invite the magic deck guy back, the magic card trick guy. That super awesome and fun guy. I didn't end up doing that, but I did used to do some magic tricks at house parties, which is still embarrassing, but the cards were already there. I didn't bring them or like come up to people, hey, you want to see a fucking magic trick? They were at least there. It made sense at the time. But bringing them around like a mysterious guy, keeping them in like a Ziploc bag, there was no coming back from that. If I went down that destructive path, I'd probably be behind bars right now just from scaring the general populace. Like, what is this guy up to with this deck of cards? This is a maniac. Get him off the streets, this menace. But now let's talk about the things that the social savior Kaya wasn't able to prevent me from doing. One of the biggest ones that I can remember is I used to go to clubs because I obviously wasn't really getting invited to house parties. Because who's going to want to invite the guy who doesn't talk because he thinks it's cool not to? Like, I would blatantly just avoid answering questions in class. If I got called on, I'd just blow it off like, oh yeah. I wouldn't even give like a yes or a no. I wouldn't be like no, I don't know the answer. I wouldn't even give the answer. I'd just be like, oh yeah. Just like fucking mumble it out like I was fucking overdosing on Xanax. So obviously no one was going to come out of their way to invite me to a house party. No one got to know me my freshman year. So I'd go to clubs by myself. And one time, it was New Year's, and I had these light up New Year's glasses. And they were some pretty fucking cool glasses, not going to lie. And I was wearing them around my neck because they were so bright I couldn't really see. I was basically just flashbanging myself when I was wearing them normally with the lights going on and shit. So I had them around my neck. And this girl came up to me and started talking to me about them. And instead of like answering any of your questions, I was playing it the same way I did everything else. I just didn't say a word. She said something about my glasses, but she fucked up and called them a necklace. She said something like, I like your necklace. That's a cool necklace. They're glasses. How dare you fuck that up? But anyway, I just disregarded it and I stared at her blankly. Like a fucking robot whose programming just malfunctioned, or I just fell asleep standing up. But she kept trying to get me to talk to her, get me to open up. That goddamn hero, that trooper, she just kept really trying to pry me open, but it just wasn't happening. Getting me to talk and not be mysterious in my freshman year of college would be like trying to open up a dumpster and not have a wave of shit hit your nostrils. But she kept trying. She pulled out her shirt saying, do you like my shirt? And it said something like, short girls know how to have fun or something like that, or something to that extent. And I glanced at it and then I immediately went back to staring at her without commenting on the shirt or even saying a word. I didn't make a noise. I didn't even make like a caveman grunt, like a Tim Allen. I didn't do anything. I didn't make a single audible noise. So I was basically just a fucking statue there. She tried again. She said something else about my necklace, and this time it must have just struck a chord because I remember I pulled them off of my neck slowly and I put them on my eyes, and then I flicked them on the next setting, which was like this intense, glowing, like strobe light shit, like some blinding, banging strobe light shit. And then she walked away. I still didn't say anything because I just put them on my eyes and then turned that setting on and kept staring at her. So I don't blame her for walking away. And that was really when it hit me like, you know, maybe being the mysterious weirdo isn't going to pay off. But I still committed to it. I still kept going past that. That was New Year's, and we still had another 5 or so months of me being an odd, weird, anime-inspired, mysterious loser. There's really no other big events that really stick out to me. Just a bunch of small stuff that I kept doing throughout the entirety of my freshman year. Like if it was raining and everyone was like, oh fuck, it's raining and I forgot my umbrella, I'm just gonna wait it out. I'd walk right by them, just kind of like wiggle my way through them, and then I'd just walk out in the rain like I didn't give a shit, like I didn't even know it was raining. Like I'd pull out my phone, much to the detriment of my phone, just be like, oh, rain? Too mysterious to feel rain. I really don't know why I ever thought walking out in the rain looking like some kind of dumb asshole would be cool or mysterious, because it doesn't fit either category, but that was another thing I'd partake in almost every time it rained. The only other big event that I can really think of, one that I still think about and it keeps me up at night and really haunts my boners to this day, is when I took an art therapy course towards the second semester of my freshman year. I don't remember exactly what it was. It wasn't art therapy, but it was something similar. It was just an art class basically where you express yourself. And I thought it would be amazingly mysterious and really get girls' panties super fucking wet, just sodden panties being tossed at me. Is every assignment I tried to make it as dark and bland as possible. So one of the assignments being, what do you think of your friends? You were supposed to do one about 12 friends, you make a drawing to represent each friend. And for mine, I did the same thing for all of them. It was a black box. I don't know why I don't know what at all was my thought process with that, but I just did 12 black boxes to represent all of my friends, and when I was supposed to present it, I gave them each a name, and I did name 12 friends. I'm kind of more acquaintances. I didn't really have any like super close friends or anything, but I did name 12 people that I knew and who also knew of my existence. And that just made me seem like I belonged in an insane asylum looking back on it. But at the time, I was like, oh, girls love the troubled artist, the mysterious troubled artist. This is beautiful. There's going to be tears in their eyes. I already know it. I'm going to get an A on this project. Spoiler alert, I didn't get an A because she thought I just blew it off and goofed on it. So I got a D because I at least turned something in. But even still, I drew 12 black boxes. That's some shit that you see in a horror movie. Like when the weird kid's scribbling shit on paper in a black crayon, and then you find out that the kid's actually a demon. That's that kind of shit that I presented to the class, and there's no doubt in my mind those students walked away deeply disturbed and afraid of me from that moment on. So, that's how I spent the entire first year of my college experience, emulating the anime mysterious guy. It wasn't until I moved out of my dorm and in with a new group of guys who put the kibosh on that shit and taught me how to be social, because they did not want to be living with some fucking weirdo that's trying to be an anime mysterious guy. So that's kind of that's how my first year of college went. The lesson to take away from this is don't emulate what you see on anime, because it's just not gonna fucking work unless you have some like superpowers that you might like, some really fucking cool superpowers. You might be able to get away with being weirdly mysterious, but I didn't. The only superpower I had was being below average male height. But if you have some cool superpowered shit, maybe you can emulate anime to some extent and still be cool, but I couldn't. But I wouldn't recommend it to most people, the non-superpowered people out there. To the people that aren't X-Men, don't try and be an anime mysterious guy. Don't be weird. That's it. See ya.